first, I want to start with some introductions. My name is Belinda Abraham, and I am hosting this video podcast on behalf of the WinS Network as part of our Chat and Listen and Exchange series. Now, the theme for Menstrual Hygiene Day 2025 is Together for a #period-friendly world. And the theme emphasizes the need to have a world where menstruation is a natural part of life as we know it, where stigma and taboos are eliminated, and as well, everyone has access to products, education, and the infrastructure such as water and sanitation as they needed. And so I'm very, very pleased to introduce Naisula Lepariyo. She is a consultant, a speaker dedicated to gender integration, to women's health and education, really championing collaborative ethical investments in development interventions. And her expertise encompasses grant making, programming, strategy development, as well as social impact strategy development, policy advisory, and development evaluation. Really positioned her work within the crossroads of academia, policy, social entrepreneurship, grassroots initiative. She passionately drives inclusive economic and educational opportunities with a special attention to the underrepresented communities. And so with that, we're really so pleased to finally connect with you. So pleased that we're finally able to do this video podcast with you. Welcome, Naisula.
Thank you so much, Belinda, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks. So I've just given you a little bit of your background, but can you just tell me, we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what led you to be part of what we'll be talking a little bit more about, the Impure film?
Yeah, of course, Belinda. So as you said, my name is Naisula Lepariyo, and I am from the indigenous tribe of Samburu in northern Kenya. And I'm surrounded by beautiful women with like such an amazing idea. And my grandmother was a really strong woman and a very strong, with strong opinion. And I thought she was one of the most articulate and smart people. She didn't say much, but I think when she spoke, it really was strong. And I always saw her as a leader in the community. And so yes, you're right that we met during the screening of Impure film in Berlin, because I'm based mainly in Berlin, but also in Kenya, and I do a lot of work in Kenya. And what led me to be part of this project is because I am, as you say, I am also my expertise is in women, wealth, and education. And I'm specifically interested in like, what are we doing to make life better for girls? What are we making to make life better for women? And how are we including women in the conversation when you're talking about development? And I do remember when the Kenya demographics survey report came out in 2022, I was seated somewhere in a cafe and I was just following the report because I worked before in demographic survey, and I also very much follow evidence-based program design and development. And I remember looking at this and thinking, oh, how can, one thing that struck me that day was 50% of the girls dropped out of school. And that just seemed, I remember thinking like, oh, this is just heavy. How can, let's say 100 girls go in classroom and then 50 of them do not continue their education? And I remember biking back home and coming in really with a heavy heart, thinking what could have been. And I even did write a small poem. I felt like somehow I participated in failing these girls because, and I was just devastated. I couldn't sleep the whole night. And then the next day I called the teacher and we looked at the statistic because this was actually going specifically to the school where I went to school, the area where I went to school. So when you zoom in the data, you actually see the most affected schools were in the region. So these were just not girls. These were my cousins. This was my family. This was people that I knew. And it felt a bit much more personal to me. And the burden felt like I had felt them personally. So with the teacher, I was like, what's going on? And he was also not very sure. And we started looking at uh, can we start? What is going on? What's the issue? How can we better understand it? And one of the data that we had was, of course, the attendance list. So we started looking at the data points from the attendance list. What can this information tell us? And what we noticed quickly was that there was predictable. These girls were meeting school and classes in a predictable manner. And you can see like this month it is 3 days, the next month is 5 days, then it goes to 10 days, and then slowly by slowly they fall off completely. So my thought was, because we are indigenous community, we are highly dependent on rain-fed pasture. So we're very much connected to climate. So when there is tough drought and people have lack the ability to put food on the tables, one of the few products that also goes unnoticed is the menstrual kit. And so if families are struggling to put food on the table, then they're also struggling to the girls will also be affected in accessing a menstrual kits product. So we talked to a few girls and we came to a conclusion that that will be the first and the easiest the easiest issues to address. And we came up with the menstrual kit project, which I started then through an organization called Big Sister for Small Sister, which is a network of group of women. And we got in touch with several organizations that are doing menstrual kits products for girls. And one thing that we needed something that's culturally accepted that they already are using. We also needed something that will last longer. And then we also needed something that was a bit sustainable. And we got in touch with one foundation called Together for Better. And we tested the product because it's entirely made of cotton and the girls can use it for, I think they would use it for 2 years. And I tested it for myself first. And I used the product. Up to now, I still use the product. It's just really a good product. Yeah. And after that, we went to distribute them in schools. And when we were there, the teacher who was one of the school, I specifically remember the teacher came to me and told, can you also speak to them about menstrual kit? Because about menstrual education. He's like, and you can see, I could see how desperate he was. He's like, I am supposed to be the counselor here in this school, but there are no female teachers. And this is not something that I was taught during my education. And I have no interaction with menstruation at any level. So these students are coming to me and I have no tools. And I thought at that point, I didn't really, also we had the mentorship, but we did not have the part of teaching students about menstrual hygiene. And Rico, we were also in conversation with Rico, who is the producer of the film Impure, and we thought of putting it together. So we really collaborated very well to bring this project of menstrual kit distribution and using this Impure film as a tool to start the conversation around menstruation. And that is maybe part where we met. And yeah.
So and actually it's kind of one of the reasons we also met too, because one of the reasons the WinS Network was very excited to have you, amongst a lot of other things that you're doing, was when we talked, we wanted to feature in this podcast to explore the film as an educational tool for menstrual health and hygiene. And I would love for you now to share a little bit bit more about the movie, a bit more
Yeah.
about the movie as a tool,
Yeah.
potentially, to be used in an educational setting for menstrual health and hygiene. Can you share
Yeah, of
your
course.
thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think that's a really good question because so the film is actually directed, produced, and written by Rico Herre, who is a film producer based in Berlin. And he read it. He produced based on or inspired by unfortunately true events that happened. And this is not an isolated incident. Unfortunately, it has happened to many girls in India, in Bangladesh, in Kenya, and it's based on on a girl who experiences her menstruation for the first time,
Mm,
but the society has not prepared her,
mhm,
and there is no tools for her to actually go and get this information. So she experiences this in classroom, but then she is sent home after the experience, and she does not know what is going on with her. And
mm,
she has really um, and the film takes us through her journey in discovery of what is happening, and that and especially this experience that she has in class, which becomes a humiliation. So it's like she is undergoing this natural process which tends up to be almost traumatizing and humiliating for her. So the film is really a good use of audiovisuals and art to actually confront the society, to have a discussion about menstruation. And I think in terms of even when we were talking to students, we had not we didn't have the tools. I mean, we can have pamphlets, we can have
mhm,
brochures, we can have guidelines on what to talk about, but when it comes to even bringing boys on board, then we cannot, this tool really goes beyond what policies and all the other resources does, because it gives us space not only to
mhm,
ice break the conversation, but
mhm.
also it gives girls an ally to identify. They see themselves in June. Then the boys can see their
Absolutely.
experience. Yeah, they see themselves in the main character, and girls are able to identify with and see that everything that they're going through, someone else is going through, and they are not alone. And then on the second
Mm,
level, you have also this thing with the boys, because the boys, we tell the boys, be nice, this is period, this is what, but we are not able to actually show and bring them so close, like this is what menstruation looks like. And this does this for them. So
mhm.
it is a very impactful film in the sense that you are left
Absolutely.
as a viewer to think about, oh, what is menstruation? How does it go? You are left trying to answer all those questions and all those blanks that you did have, that you have not been able to confront yourself, and also confront how you act towards them. Like, for example, if a teacher, for example, if someone menstruates in their class,
Mhm.
do you send them home? Do they miss
Yeah,
that class when you send them home? What is the impact?
right.
How can you show up for these girls when they undergo periods in
Absolutely.
and I think that is such an important thing, because it also does
Mhm,
not tell the girls or tell the teachers how to behave. It just gives you
mhm,
and shows you what has happened in this. And then it's you as a person to actually see what is most appropriate. How could you have better
mhm.
reacted if you were a teacher? And I think that is the power of this tool.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
really incredible because you're like you're saying, it's presenting an opportunity for this dialogue. When
yeah,
a student goes through that process, actually teachers should see it as an opportunity. It
yeah.
really sounds incredible. So what steps can we take as professionals in the development to see that more students have access to this film and can benefit from the film's message?
Yeah, I mean, so what we have done through the film, like the process of the film has been, the first thing we did was to do message alignment, which we did through, you can see we gave the students information. We actually give the students like questions to fill, and we assess their knowledge before the film and after they've watched the film, and then we're trying to see what message resonated. How do they get this message well? How can we align it better? So we already did this, and this is the part of the process that we've already finished. And then now the second part was contextualization, and contextualization because, of course, period shaming, menstrual hygiene is a universal issue, and we wanted to also have a universal solution. So what we've been doing is screening it to try and contextualize in different contexts. So we've done in Bolivia, in Nepal, in Mauritius, in different countries, in Kenya, Tanzania, to try and see, does it fit with the context? Does it work for a Nepalese girl the same way it will work for someone in Mauritius? For the same way it will work for someone in Denmark. So we've done that. And the second, the phase where we are now is developing the global social impact campaign, where organization such as those that are part of the WinS network can come to us and be part of the campaign. And the idea is to have as many organizations involved as possible, so we can get to as many corners of the world as possible, because we need to go to different classrooms. So we are now in the process of inviting other organizations to be part of this global social campaign.
Oh, that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
we'll definitely, as we close, we'll share some details so those who are listening to the
Yes.
podcast or those who are watching it can get that more information. So
Yeah.
as we close this interview, again, thank you so much for your time. And I've really been inspired by it. And I've been, as of late, trying to gain sort of insights from colleagues as we come to the 28th of May, Menstrual Hygiene Day.
Yeah.
From your experiences as a mother, as a professional, as a woman, what message would you convey? I see this beautiful photo of you with this young baby to a young girl in Samburu County who may be listening to this interview. What words of encouragement and wisdom would you share with her?
Well, yeah, thank you, Belinda. That's a great opportunity to be able to actually share that. But I think that I would like to put my answer into two, because I think that there are people who see gap in their society in where they live. And this is like my social entrepreneur part trying to, but if you see a gap and you see a solution and you can see that you can be part of the solution, do not hesitate. Do not think that your effort is just too little and it will not make change. So be part of the solution and start. It's never too small to actually make a difference. And then on the second level, to young girls like the one I'm holding here, my niece.
Beautiful.
I want to tell them. I always say this when I go for mentorship programs. Like, you have, as a girl, whatever, if you're in under-resourced spaces, you have to identify, look at your point A. Where are you now? Look at your point B. And this is where you want to get. And then try to see, how do you get there? Identify the resources that you have within yourself, and then see which gaps do you have. And then these gaps, call out, ask for help. Ask for help. There, you are not alone in this journey, and you have so much invisible hands trying to help you and vouching for you to win. Because in Big Sister, the assumption is that we are standing on the top, or are we are standing on top of the heads of women that lifted us, those that came before us. And we also then want to pull the next generation to lift the next generation of women as well. So they are not alone. And they should not know that, once you've identified your point B, you will not be alone to get there. So you are not alone.
Thank you. I think they're inspiring words for everybody, really. And I want to thank you so much for your time to share with us as we prepare for Menstrual Hygiene Day. So you can find out more information about the Menstrual Kit Project by going to Big Sis for Small Sis. As you're talking, that's steppingstones.com projects. You can also link with Naisula on LinkedIn as shown here. And of course, if you want more information on the Impure film, you can go at info@commonlightspictures.com. Naisulu, thank you so much. I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, for sharing your journey with us, and truly impressive, really, the work that you've done. And we wish you, and I wish you personally, on behalf of the WinS Network, continued success. I think what you've shown, as you gave in your example, when you see a gap, you can be part of that solution. And your work highlights this, especially this vital connection between menstrual health, dignity, and girls' education. And I think this is definitely inspiring change and hope for many people. And we hope you continue that success, as I mentioned. And more importantly, the Big Sister Network initiative that you co-founded not only provides these menstrual kits, but also delivers these essential health education and fosters a safe space for the dialogue. So we thank you for all that you do and continue to do on this important topic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Belinda, and thank you for having me. It's a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.